Hi, all. I'm particularly pleased to be here with you today. And I'm going to ask you to indulge me because what I'd like to do today is put together the pieces that will help you be successful. All of us are here today because the question of weighing less is uppermost in our mind. And what I'd like to do today is put together some of the pieces that I've never put together before to give you not just your cake and eating it, but food for thought. In 1968, I was issued the 297th license to be a psychologist in the state of New Jersey. That's over 50 years ago. And what I'd like to do today is to enter into the background of having been a psychologist and connecting it with what's going on between us. Hi, Yvonne. Glad to have you aboard. Now, for 50 plus years, I have been a psychologist. And what does that mean? And let's be honest with ourselves. I had people coming to see me who had problems in their lives, and they expected me to help them deal effectively with those problems. And let's be simple and honest. I can't possibly have the answers to everything. And one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is be patient with me and stay on board to hear what I have to say. Because I'm going to be speaking to you as both a psychologist and one of the founders in China over 1,000 years ago. And something that was developed over 1,000 years ago and is still in existence bears some attention. And part of the issue, from my point of view right now, is everybody is rushing someplace. People don't have time. They don't talk. I look around the places I go, people are sitting together, and all of them are on their phones, texting here, texting there, and nobody's talking to each other. And therefore, let's accept one fact. If weight were not something in your mind, you don't belong here. Number two, if losing weight were easy, we wouldn't be here. Three, if you don't understand the world you live in, then you're never going to be able to answer the questions that you have. So first, bear with me while I start off in a different direction. Number one, every single one of us, through a physical act, was conceived. And we were conceived within the body of a female. That entity that was conceived began to grow and develop inside that female body. And this is very important that you hear me, because this is key to understanding everything else. Somewhere around the 7th month, had the mother given birth to you, you would have survived. And therefore, I'm submitting that inside that entity, there was a sensing mechanism. What it was, I have no idea. And I say there was a sensing mechanism because had it been birthed, it would have survived. In most cases, it existed inside that female body for another 2 months and got bigger and stronger, and that's why it stayed inside. Now, this is important. This is really important. The 9th month, the mother goes to the hospital, and between one moment and the next moment, this entity that has some sensing mechanism is birthed. Out it comes. And here is something very critical. It goes from 100% being cared for to 0. Because the mother was doing everything for it. Now, from my point of view, you don't have to agree with me. It's pretty traumatic to go from being totally cared for to 0. And because it is what it is, how is it going to survive? Now, one of the things that I realized as a psychologist and talking is that infant was endowed with a survival mechanism. And it dawned upon me what it was. It screams. And think about this. That screaming causes you, if you are the parent or the caretaker or whatever, to pay attention. That infant can't survive on its own. It's been traumatized now. And the mother has gone through this thing. She takes a nap. They take the baby away. She feels a little stronger. She wakes up. They bring the baby back. And remember, this baby has been traumatized. The mother held it. And the baby begins to scream. And the mother takes a breast or a bottle and sticks it in that baby's mouth. Screaming is a survival mechanism. And that screaming, and this is very important, and you're the caretaker, is there to have that baby survive, because when it screams, you're paying attention. So we started, number one, from trauma, and that led to screaming, and the screaming led to something critical. The screaming brought comfort and food together. Now, what we are dealing with, if we're really going to be honest, if we don't understand what we're talking about right now, we're going to miss the boat. Survival is the prime directive. And that screaming controls us. It's hard to forget to feed this baby when it's screaming. And it's hard for the baby to separate out that when it screamed, comfort and food came together. So let's understand what it is that we're dealing with. Number two, and this is important, all disease and illness has the same root. It's all of us. All disease and illness stems from imbalance. This machine that we live in, and it is a machine, it can think, but it's a machine. And it's endowed with abilities. How those abilities impact become what's important for us to begin to understand. The word then for all of us is survival. Everything we do has been narrowed down only for us here, because you said, and you don't have to justify it, we've been through that. You said, I want to weigh less. Inherent in that I want to weigh less is something that you haven't thought about, but is important. Because when you said, I want to weigh less, you also said, even though you didn't verbalize it and probably didn't even think about it, is I know if I continue to behave in the way in which I have been behaving, the thought of losing weight would not be in my mind, because the only reason I am is because I agreed that how I have been behaving will not give me what I want. And let's forget about justification. If any of you are out there who can say to me, you're not here because you want to successfully weigh less, then why the heck are you here? You like me? That's not a reason. The reason is you said, I want to weigh less. And because I want to weigh less, it means I'm not happy with my weight. It's too high. And whatever it is I have been doing contributes to my weight being high. And if I continue to behave the way in which I have been behaving, it's not going to give me what I said I want. Now, the power inherent in what I have just been saying will never go away. One, feeling powerless and helpless. We were endowed with this ability to scream because that's the only way we could survive. If the baby didn't scream, how many babies would not survive because people are running around doing millions of other things and they're not caring. And remember, food is survival. So number one, all of us, and the anxiety and trauma is dealt with because within the first few hours of life, we were nurtured. And in that nurturing, comfort and food were the reason we were comforted. And the screaming was an inherent way of controlling. Now, this is very important. There is nothing you can do, nothing. If survival is the issue, the one thing that is essential is nourishment, food. And food is incredibly powerful because it's essential for survival, but it also comforts us and addresses the trauma in which we were born. How we do it becomes important. And what's happened, and the reason I'm speaking with you the way I am today, is because we don't acknowledge. We're too busy. We're too rushed. I can't sit here, Dr. Schwartz, and listen to you. I've got 50 million other things to do. I want a quick answer. Let me do it. I can't sit here. So one of the things I hope to do today is shorten the length of my presentation. Now, let's go a step further. If food is the key and comfort is the key, what's the problem? The problem is that, and any of you who have cared for or parented a child begins to recognize 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. I don't want to pin it down because I'm not sure about this. The parent caretaker begins to recognize that the screaming is controlling the caretaker. And as the infant matures, every caretaker suddenly realizes that they are being not only the caretaker, but they're being manipulated because the child doesn't know anything. It wants to survive. It wants what it wants when it wants it. And now we're beyond just being fed and nurtured. And the child wants, how about attention? Remember, I spoke to you in the past about the miasmic children in Great Britain who were prospering in an orphanage where a cleaning woman was picking them up and hugging them, doing nothing different than any of the other floors. The other kids were not prospering, but the one who was being paid attention to and held and whatever else, those were doing much, much better. They were growing, they were prospering. Now, kids don't know anything. They haven't had any experience in life. And when you're 1 month old, 2 months old, 3 months old, 5 months old, 7 months old, what do we call it? A kid, a baby, an infant. Who cares? What does it know? It knows it wants to survive. That's all it knows. And how does it demonstrate that? It wants what it wants when it wants it. And did you ever notice that the moment it gets what it wants when it wants it, it stops? So it wants what it wants when it wants it. And it begins to become a tool which also manipulates its environment. Now, every single one of you is here because you want to weigh less, and it's a problem. Accept it. It's a problem. And why is it a problem? The reason it's a problem is because you need to rebalance what's going on. And we have a program. It's chemical. You all understand it. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And if you do those kinds of things, you begin to weigh less. But there's a piece we don't think about, and that's what I want you to look at. The piece we're not thinking about is the piece that says, I was overweight because my behavior led to being overweight. And therefore, if I am going to succeed in weighing less, I must trade in my old behaviors, and I have to have a new behavior. I can't behave the way I've been behaving and also have success at weighing less. Raises another problem. I do it my way. You do it your way. My way works for me. Yours is not working for you. And you say, hey, Why is his working and mine is not working? The answer is you didn't stop and accept the fact that you must behave differently to get the result that you want. And the problem is you're not comfortable behaving in a different way. Everything is thrown up into the air. I'm responsible for me. Now, here's the next issue. The program, which is chemical, absolutely works. And all of you know that it works because that's why you are here. New people are here because they've gotten that information from people who've been on the program. And people who are been on the program are here because they didn't adhere to changing their behavior. What's the problem? The problem is, and we've talked about it before, is that our experiences, food and comfort, have overridden. Think about it. So much of our behavior, you go to the movies, before the movies, after the movies, something to eat. You get together with people, eat. And so food calms us, makes us relax, feels good, comforts us. And what we're seeking, all of us, is to overcome that trauma of birth where the critical issue was survival. So food is simply a mechanism, and you have to have a mechanism that works for you. And this is what's so critically important. Now, for me, and let me talk about me, my weakness, by the way, when I met Dr. Chu, I weighed almost 300 pounds. 25 years later, here I am today, and I weighed myself this morning, and because of my age, I'm comfortable with my weight, and this morning I weighed 203 pounds. And I've weighed 203 pounds since December, and let me talk about that. Here I am talking to you, and in December, I realized that I had stopped paying attention for reasons that are irrelevant right now. And I did something that honestly and truly I hated. I went on the program. And I hated being on the program. And why did I hate it? because I had to take control. I had to watch. I had to do. And the only thing that kept me focused was the fact that between December and when I returned north here a few weeks ago, I had lost 35 pounds. I did the program, and I was not perfect, so I did a modified program, which we can talk about at some other time. And with a modified program, I lost 38 pounds. Do you know what the most exciting part was? Getting on the scale and saying, I did what I had to for me. It was my decision. And I knew what to do. And I said, the heck with how I feel. My feelings are there for whatever the reason there are. But what I want is a weight that's going to make me feel good when I look in the mirror. When I first met Dr. Chu, and I hated the program then, but I was scrupulous, in 3 months, I lost 84 pounds. And the only reason I did it was because I knew, and Dr. Chu had convinced me of that I would weigh less. And so I did it in spite of all of the negative thoughts that I had, how it was going to affect me, etc. Getting on that scale and watching the weight go down, 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 down is what kept me there, because I realized I was making myself important in my own life, not my comfort. Because I could have comfort anytime. But what I wanted was a body that I was comfortable with and happy with. And so I gave up that behavior for this new behavior. The key here, is to understand now something else. My greatest weakness is that any single circumstance that makes me feel uncomfortable causes me to feel helpless in resisting food. I'm going to say that again. The feeling that food gives me, the feeling of comfort, is my greatest weakness. And what do I mean by that? I was just talking to a woman this morning. She happens to be on phase 2, the modified program. And she says to me, oh, come on, half a glass of wine, a tiny little piece of cake. And she gave me other examples. Do you mean to tell me that they are the problem? And I said, I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm going to ask you something. have you been happy with the results of what it is that you're doing? And she said, no. And I said, why are you doing it? And she said, I'm tired. I said, you're tired? She said, yes, I'm tired of telling myself no. And I've been doing the magic protocol. I do it once, I do it twice, I do it 3 times. And then I find myself stretched so thin, I give in and I feel guilt and remorse. And I said, slow down. And I'm going to ask you to slow down now. And this is important for you to understand. I created the magic protocol as a methodology. And here's what the methodology is all about. You have chosen to lose weight. In order to lose weight, you have to change your behavior. In order to change your behavior, you have to, and I'm going to use this, use whatever you like, you have to give up the comfort of certain things that give you comfort. You have to change your behavior. Now, behavioral change is uncomfortable, and we seek comfort. So what do? She said she does it 6, 7 times, and then the 8th time or the 9th time, she gives in. And she gives in because the issue of comfort, she can't do it anymore, and so she gives in. Now, I created what I call, you can call it whatever you like, the magic protocol. But the way I created it, I caused a problem for all of us, including myself. If you did nothing else, and let's go from 3 Tic Tacs to 5 Tic Tacs. They're in my hand. And I want to give in, not because I want to give in, but because I can't take the pressure of hearing, I want. I do nothing else. I take, and I'm taking right now 5 Tic Tacs. I'm putting them in my mouth and I'm swishing them around, and the flavor of the Tic Tacs is filling my mouth. And the reason I did it is very simple. I know I'm weak. I'm tired. I'm overworked. But I want to weigh less. All of those things are pulling at me. And I know whether it's the 7th time or 8th time or 9th time or 10th time, I'm going to give in because I'm tired. I'm overworked. I don't want to hear it anymore. The moment I put those 5 Tic Tacs in my mouth, I'm angry, and I'm smiling. I'm angry because I recognize my weakness. I want peace. I want quiet. I want comfort. The stresses around me are making me nuts. But I'm not forgetting that I want to weigh less. And the instant I put those Tic Tacs in my mouth, I realize I don't have to deal with anything, because the flavor of those Tic Tacs are going to override my ability to escape into comfort. I accept my weakness. And I accept my weakness because I want weighing less more than I want. And I do want whatever it is that's drawing me over here. For the 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes that the flavor of those Tic Tacs are in my mouth, I can't go off the program, because the combination of whatever it is I want is going to be contaminated by the flavor of those Tic Tacs. I don't have to say anything. I don't even think anything. It gets me what I want. And I realize it's only going to last 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then there's the wonderful part. Tic Tacs are not damaging. So 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes from now, those thoughts and feelings come back. The hell with them. I don't want to deal with it. It's making me nuts. 5 more Tic Tacs in my mouth. And again, for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't have to deal anymore. And I do it 10 times. I do it 11 times. I'm sitting at a meeting with in my company, and there's food there because they serve food. I don't have to go through the whole kind of thing. All I got to do is stick the Tic Tacs in my mouth, and it'll last me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They're calorie-free, basically speaking. So if I do it 40 times, I don't have to think, and I get what it is that I want. What's that? I build a new habit. I recognize what's happening. The pressure is still there, but it's not the same pressure anymore, because I'm not thinking it through. I'm not pressuring. I'm simply putting 5 Tic Tacs in my mouth, and the taste of the Tic Tacs are going to contaminate anything else I put in my mouth. No thinking, just doing it. And then I suddenly realize, maybe it takes a week, maybe it takes 2 weeks, the pressure is gone. I'm losing weight. And the pressure is gone, because I'm getting comfortable now with avoiding dealing with all of the could I, should I, if I, when I want. The imbalances, everything is not there anymore. And I begin to be happier with me, because now I'm not having to make excuses. The weakness is gone. and I'm building a new way of dealing. Now, I've said before, it's by giving up control, I gain control. And I was wrong. If I have to go through the whole process, and it's good, that's not it. I have to recognize what's going on, my child self, my adult self. Most of the time, that's fine. But when we get to the 7th, 8th, 9th time, and that feeling keeps coming back, I feel weak and helpless, and that's when I'm in trouble. So to avoid it all, I say, why do I have to deal with all of this? I don't have to deal with all of this. All I got to do is put 5 Tic Tacs in my mouth. Done. Comes back, put 5 Tic Tacs in my mouth. Done. Forget about the breathing. Forget about everything else. And the more I do it, the more I recognize I've taken back control of my life. The issue here is if you are happier with you, it doesn't make it that we both want to go to Chicago. You want to go this way. I want to go this way. In our present environment, your way in your mind is better than my way. So when we talk about it, all we're trying to do is you're trying to convince me to give up my way, to do it your way, to get. But we both want the same thing. What difference does it make if I do it my way? And the reason is we've gotten into this habit of if I'm right, you've got to be wrong. And our discussion is not going to get us any place because you don't really want to hear what I have to say. You only want me to say, I understand I'm going to do it your way. Oh, and now you're happy. Or vice versa. Now, I want to add another piece. And this, from my point of view, is very important. Dr. Chu trained me in the 1990s. The reason we did the study was because of the fact that as a researcher, he said to me, in China, the overweight people are basically the wealthy because they indulge. Most Chinese, he said, who have a normal Chinese diet are not overweight. And when this program was created, they did not have cows. They used pig's milk. And like a researcher, Dr. Chu said, how do I know that cow's milk will work? And number 2, where in heaven's name are we going to get cow's milk? So let's test it out. The program has worked for over 1,000 years. I'm not smart enough to invent what they invented. But we have part of the leftover too. Everybody's talking about intermittent fasting and how wonderful it is. What do you think stopping at 6 and not eating till 12 the following day is all about? It's intermittent fasting. And now we have the Flex program. The Flex program gives us some flexibility, and we accept the fact that we're not going to lose as much as fast, but it gives us an alternative. And during the summer, many people want something like that. The key is, who's the boss? Nothing can happen unless you permit it to happen. And if you know that crossing the street against the light is going to put you in danger, and you're saying, I'm in a rush, I don't care, I'm going to cross the street against the light, you know what the odds are that you're going to be successful. So what I'm saying is, we have to do something, and that's what breaking down what I call the magic protocol to its basic essence. Because if I do this, I'm unable to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I know my inclination to do this is going to overtake me. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Put the Tic Tacs in my mouth. I'm done. Now, I took the liberty of some questions. I went to a party, I followed your advice and did the magic protocol to overcome my urge to cheat. It worked for around 10 minutes, and then the tempting was so strong, I gave in and cheated. What am I doing wrong? You hear it? A normal, simple question. Look what she is putting herself through. And like she said, my urge to cheat. Now, number one, let's get rid of that word. It's not a cheat. It's something that is being craved because it deals with the pressures of life and whatever else. And you're tired. You've had a long day. The only reason it's a problem is because you said, I want to weigh less. Okay, let's make it impossible to deviate. I keep getting dizzy when I stand up. Does that mean I might be eating enough, not eating enough? Maybe this program is not for me. Now, one of the things that I have said to you, and I said it earlier, is that all illness and all disease is based upon an imbalance. Do you see what's going on? The heat is impossible. You may not be sweating, but you are perspiring. And if you are dizzy, it's either blood pressure or dehydration. And in this weather, people are not hydrating properly. And so what do? Number one, the tea with honey. it puts a floor under your blood sugar. And because it puts a floor under your blood sugar, it'll help stabilize you. And number two, the liquid is hydrating. It also might be an issue with electrolytes. So we're talking salt, electrolytes, hydration. And if we do it, the problem resolves itself because it's there to begin with because of an imbalance that is caused by the environment. If you do it, then it's not there anymore. And it has nothing to do with anything other than saying, I'm taking care of myself. Excuse me, I should have worn my glasses. I've lost 50 pounds and still have 30 pounds to go. I just got back from 2-week vacation and I'm struggling to get back on plan. Your advice is appreciated. Now, the reason this person is asking me a question is because of the fact that they have been successful. That didn't mean there was no life out there. They went on vacation, and I'm not going to go into it now, but they went on my modified plan during that vacation. The program was put on hold, and I helped them deal, and they enjoyed vacation, and they enjoyed vacation, which means they didn't stick with the 2. Okay? Now, you and I both know that feels so darn good. I can do what I want. And that person did what they wanted in a controlled fashion, which I helped outline for them. And they were happy because they got, instead of a whole loaf, they got half a loaf. And now, you and I both know it. They don't want to give up what they got back. And the answer is very simple. By asking me the question, do you hear the question? I want to do this, but temptation is there and whatever else. But my prime is I want to do this and I'm finding it hard. Okay. Drink water, electrolytes, magic protocol. Will it be hard? So maybe it'll be hard. Will they get what they want? Yes. I don't want it to be hard. Hey, life is not fair. The answer is you. If you decide that you're important enough to accept some feelings that you're not happy with because of change and control, etc., and it applies to everything in life. Last question. Oh, that's interesting. I'm leaving for vacation. Should I use my beads when I'm away? Here's my answer. There are choices. And the choice you have to make is up to you. Choice number one. I don't want to hear. I don't want to know. I want to go on vacation. I'll worry about it when I get back. Choice number two. I'll stay on the program. I know it's going to impact on my vacation because I'm restricted to, but I'll continue to lose weight. Choice number three, the flex program. I want vacation. I'm willing to give up weight loss, but I don't want to put on any weight and lose the progress that I've made. If you make a choice, and that's what your consultant or I am there for, you can have your cake and eat it. And by the way, one of the things that I learned about early elementary school teachers is something absolutely wonderful. The best elementary teachers that I've ever come across, whether it's conscious or unconscious, have a philosophy that's absolutely wonderful. Do it again and again and again and again until it becomes part of you and is no longer an issue. I hope today has been helpful. I hope to see you again soon. I would absolutely be enthralled if accusmoke@aol.com is an email address that you send me comments, questions, suggestions, because the more we communicate, the more successful all of us are going to be. Now, thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.